How the media elite shows its contempt for the general public yet again with their reaction to the Depp verdict. When Johnny Depp won his defamation case against Amber Heard, it marked the first time a Me Too casualty had fought back and won. Unless you watched the trial, all of the trial, you would not know just how badly Amber Heard fared on the stand, how weak her case was, the many contradictions in her story, and that here we have a true defamation case that could be proven with evidence. What was telling, however, was the reaction by the media elite. From the New York Times to Slate to the New Yorker to Rolling Stone to The Guardian, it was one condemnation after another by people whose primary news source is their own feedback loop. They have proved beyond any doubt just how much the Me Too movement was driven not by activists, not even by victims, but by them. There was only one social media platform that showed the groundswell of public support for Johnny Depp, and that was TikTok. Anyone who uses the app saw the surge of support for Depp as he became a meme, then a trend, and at some point a full-blown movement around a single hashtag, justice for Johnny Depp. "80% of Depp's most ardent supporters were women, united across political, economic, cultural, and racial lines in support of Depp's innocence. Many of them were victims of domestic violence themselves who could easily recognize a woman who was grossly exaggerating, lying, and portraying herself as someone that contradicts her own recordings of her relationship with Depp. Meanwhile, the high-minded columnists flopped around like fish with no clue as to why so many in the general public supported Depp. Now women will never come forward, they collectively squawked. Now no woman will ever be believed again, they howled. The Me Too movement is over, they bemoaned. It isn't so much that women will never be believed again, as it is about the activist media on the left losing all credibility with the general public, if they had any left to begin with.
In 2018, when Amber Heard wrote her op-ed, we as a society were in the middle of a Me Too movement. If you remember, during that Me Too movement, a woman was automatically believed and the man was basically crucified. When Amber wrote this, she thought that's what was going to happen to Johnny Depp. But now here we are in 2022, and people don't feel as strong about that, and people wanted to make sure he got a fair trial. And where I think Amber went wrong was the insane exaggeration. Had she come out and said, look, it was a bad marriage, it was a poisonous situation, he acted poorly, he hit me, I acted poorly, I reacted to him, I was reactionary, but kept it in more simplistic terms, I think people would have believed her. The one thing that I cannot get over, and I'm wondering if the jury can't get over, is him sexually assaulting her with the whiskey bottle and that she didn't need medical attention. I just can't get past that. And the story is so outlandish that I simply don't believe anything else she has said.
The Me Too movement, like almost everything else, was a media narrative created and driven by the same columnists who are now clinging to that power. It first began in the wake of the Access Hollywood tape that caught Trump talking about everything he could do to women as a famous person. Even before Trump won, the New York Times collected a series of women's stories. Mine was among them. Because the Access Hollywood tape was an October surprise, it wasn't exactly shocking that the New York Times would have put out this piece in October. The two areas that would bloom into full-blown mass hysteria events in this country during the Trump presidency circled around sexual assault, harassment and abuse, and racism. These were the two main fears about Trump. Even if they started out as much-needed reckonings, they evolved over time into witch hunts, fear, and paranoia that continues to this day. But the pendulum is beginning to swing, because it always does. Mass hysteria is inevitably punctured when a case comes along that is so preposterous It brings the whole thing down. In Salem, it was the governor's wife being accused of witchcraft. During the McCarthy era, it was the have you no decency moment. In Salem, they tried to cover up their embarrassing year where 20 people lost their lives amid a mass hysteria event that might have had the hashtag Believe Children. If not for a Quaker named Thomas Mall, no one would have ever even known about it. Due process isn't perfect, but it's still the best we have. When Al Franken was pushed out of Congress by the likes of Chuck Schumer, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren, he begged for due process and did not get it. For me and many others, that was a major red pill moment. I could no longer belong to a political party that would go along with something like that. Due process doesn't always work, of course, particularly during times of mass hysteria, where there is public pressure on juries to reach specific verdicts. For decades, black men were falsely accused of rape. It took the civil rights movement to shake people out of it. It has taken decades to undo the damage, and much of it remains undone. Due process meant that all-white, all-male juries often decided cases based on pitchfork mobs assembled outside. They were too afraid or too racist themselves to return a proper verdict. It was a time that also could have had the hashtag Believe All White Women. That is the subject of Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird.
Thank you. Now, will you identify the man who beat you?
Most certainly will. Sitting right yonder.
Tom, will you stand up, please? Let Miss Mayella have a good long look at you. Tom, will you catch this, please? Thank you. Now then, this time, will you please catch it with your left hand?
I can't, sir.
Why can't you?
I can't use my left hand at all. I got it caught in a cotton gin when I was 12 years old. All my muscles were tore loose.
Is this the man who raped you?
Most certainly is.
How?
I don't know how. He done it. He just done it.
You have testified that he choked you and he beat you. You didn't say that he sneaked up behind you and knocked you out cold, but that you turned around and there he was. You want to tell us what really happened?
I got something to say. And then I ain't gonna say no more.
Johnny Depp is no black man during the Jim Crow era. To even suggest that would be immoral. But there is similarity in how Mayella and Amber Heard testified. Both were melodramatic in a way that conflicted with who they were and how they behaved in real life.
He took advantage of me. And if you find fancy gentlemen ain't gonna do nothing about it, then you're just a bunch of lousy, yellow, stinking cowards. The whole bunch of you. And your fancy ass don't come to nothing. Your Mammon and your Miss May Ellen, it don't come to nothing, Mr. Finch.
Sit down there.
Heard has actual taped conversations of herself that never once talked about any rape with a bottle, any broken glass, any of the wild accusations she has hurled at Depp. How it started. Way back in 2016, Depp's friend, Doug Stanhope, wrote an op-ed for The Wrap, essentially laying out the truth, with the headline, Johnny Depp is being blackmailed by Amber Heard. Here's how I know. For that, Heard sued him for defamation. She then dropped the suit when she and Depp reached a mutual settlement. She would receive $7 million and they would go their separate ways. The Johnny Depp fandom so viciously attacked her that she announced she would donate the money to charity, that she did not want any of it. Among the truths uncovered at trial, she never paid any of the money. Elon Musk, of all people, besotted with a woman once named the world's most beautiful, forked out hundreds of thousands of dollars to her named charities, one of them being the ACLU.
You testified under oath that, quote, the entirety of your divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote, didn't you?
That's correct. I pledged the entirety.
No. Ms. Heard, my questions. Your counsel will have time to redirect you after. You testified under oath, quote, the entirety of your divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote.
That is correct. I pledged the entirety.
I'm going to move to strike everything after yes. Under oath, that statement wasn't true, was it, Ms. Heard?
I'm sorry, I don't follow your question. Sorry.
You testified under oath, quote, the entirety of my divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote. That statement wasn't true.
It is true. I pledged the entirety to charity.
The statement...
When you say you buy a house, you don't pay
Ms.
for the
Heard,
entire house
Ms. Heard,
at one time.
respectfully,
You pay it
I'm
over
not
time.
asking, Ms. Heard.
All right, next question, please.
Thank you. That statement isn't true today, as you sit here today, is it?
It is true. I pledged the entirety.
But you didn't donate it.
Unfortunately,
you didn't donate it. It's a yes or no.
I haven't been able to to fulfill those.
So that's a no,
obligations.
right, Ms. Heard?
I made the pledge. I want to be very clear. I pledged the entirety. I haven't been able to fulfill those pledges because I've been sued.
You had all of the $7 million for 13 months before Mr. Depp sued you, and you chose not to pay it to the charities you pledged it to. Is that correct, Ms.
I
Heard?
disagree with your characterization of that.
She dumped him anyway, and even after filing a restraining order against Depp, Heard wanted him back. She found him in a hotel room and begged him to hug her. He would not touch her.
I'm dying of the time without you. Do you love me? Do you still love me? I just wanted to touch you.
Really? After all the shit you just said?
I just wanted to give
After
you
all
a
this
hug.
shit you fucking accused me of? You want to touch me?
Please stop me.
Fucking
Please stop.
fucking nuts.
Please, I just wanted to hug you and say bye. I didn't want to take you back.
You everything I did. I did everything I could do to make you happy. It wasn't it. You don't want it.
I wanted you. I wanted you. I did. I wanted
Oh,
you.
you fucking love me. You don't fucking love me. Call it, write it off as a mistake. A mistake.
Would you like this?
Good, get out.
I'm kidding.
Depp has said in their many recordings that when it got too violent, he had to split. Heard downplays the violence in conversation after conversation, her main complaint about Depp being that he always leaves or splits.
I'm not gonna be in a physical fucking altercation with you.
Then don't.
You fucking hit me last night. You fucking...
What about all the other times you split? Come on, you cannot act like that. It's about that. It's
Well,
not.
when on a plane, I can't split.
No, and you hit back. So don't act like you don't fucking
I
participate.
pushed you.
I'm not going to get into the details of that fight. You and I both know that you split when there is no physical violence involved. And that you do it at the very beginning of fights these days. And if you split and you go into a different room and you don't actually leave that house, it does nothing but perpetuate the fight. Really, when you split on me, how do you feel when I leave you?
When I split, when I go into the other room, you say.
You never fucking try and work it out. You never fight for me. You never come to me. You never self-calm. You never self-soothe. You're never the one to throw the olive branch. I'm sick and tired of it. It needs to fucking change. And you can go, I can't meet those demands. I can't do it. Or you can fucking promise me so I have a modicum of safety. I feel a modicum of respect. A little tiny shit sliver of fucking like, you are in this whether it is good or bad. Whether it is good or bad. Down and up. Lows and highs. Tough and easy.
He tried to leave any time they would argue, even at the beginning, because he always maintained they got physical. Amber admits to being the one who starts the violence. If Depp abused her at all, it was in these moments where she wanted to physically fight with him. Had she limited her claims to these specific incidences, she would have been able to say she was a victim of domestic violence, and he could have said the same thing. That isn't what she did. For all of her obvious intelligence, she didn't realize if she stuck to the truth, she would have won. When the Sun newspaper called Johnny Depp a wife beater, he sued for defamation and lost. That was the first time the outlandish tales of monstrous abuse by Depp poured forth from the fanciful imagination of the brilliant Amber Heard. Here is how she put it in Australia, presumably leaving off the bottle rape as, quote, annexed statement. Probably because the defamation case in the UK was only about wife beater and not sexual violence. Glass was broken everywhere, on the floor and the countertop. At some point, he pulled me around by my neck and pushed me down against the bar. I was against the bar naked, bent over backwards, my back against the marble. He was pressing so hard on my neck, I couldn't breathe. I was trying to tell him that I couldn't breathe. I remember thinking he was going to kill me in that moment. The floor was wet and I was slipping. I couldn't get a purchase, and I was kicking my feet trying to stand up. But nothing was catching. I was using my forearms to try to raise myself up and cutting myself on the broken glass on the counter. I remember pleading with Johnny, saying he was hurting and cutting me, and asked him to let me up. He ignored me, continuing to hit me with the back of one closed hand. He was screaming at you over and over again. You ruined my life. I hate you. I'm going to effing kill you and F your corpse. He said it so loud and over. I am going to effing kill you. I really thought I might die. That is how she told it on the stand. But this is how she told it on the stand in Virginia, feeling the need, for whatever reason, to give an actual dramatic performance. The problem was, as one viewer put it on TikTok, she was an actress giving the performance of her life, playing a character she didn't understand.
At some point, he's on top of me. No phone, but screaming the same thing. I fucking hate you. You ruined my fucking life. I'm on the countertop. It had me by the neck. And he felt like he was on top of me. And I'm looking at him in his eyes. And I don't see him anymore. I don't see him anymore. It wasn't him. It was black. I've never been so scared in my life. It was black. I couldn't see him. And he was looking at me, and I was trying to get through to him. I was trying to say to him in some way that it was me. I was trying to get through to Johnny. And I couldn't see him. I couldn't see him at all. And my head was bashing against the back of the bar, and I couldn't breathe. And I remember trying to get up, and I was slipping on the glass. My feet were slipping, my arms were slipping on the countertops. And I remember just trying to get up so I could breathe, so I could tell him that he was really hurting me. I didn't think he knew what he was doing.
After her monologue about the bottle, her lawyer asks, "Did you bleed from the vagina as well?" She says, "I did." Her lawyer says, "Did you experience any pain after that?" She says, "I wasn't thinking about that." In her new version, there are variations in Depp's behavior. The cover for the inconsistencies, she repeatedly says, is, "I can't be sure about the sequence." But let's just give her the benefit of the doubt that the two stories aren't wildly different. Let's say, okay, fine, we accept that this happened, that you were beaten that badly, bled that badly, were violated with a bottle and bled afterwards, that you got no medical attention even when a doctor came to the house to check on Depp's finger and bring him to the ER. that you took no pictures of your own injuries, which would be substantial if all of that were true. If you were flung across the floor, hit repeatedly, choked, nearly killed. Let's say it was all true. Now listen to this conversation between the two of them, all the way through to the end. You tell me if this would be how you would talk about what happened in Australia, if you just lived through what she says she lived through. Listen to what she says happened to them after Australia. Her main complaint is that he won't allow her to fight with him anymore. She says that things were better when they were allowed to fight, and he wasn't always escaping to different rooms. Is that how any person would talk after supposedly going through what she went through? Heard damned herself, mostly with her own recordings where she berated, mocked, and goaded Depp. He was a baby and a pussy and not man enough to stand up to her during fights.
I am honest with you. I'm sorry. You don't want to be held accountable. I get it.
I'm not sure you're so honest with me.
Well, that's your...
Watching you lie in front of Travis last night was really expected.
That's your problem, and that's your whole thing that you've created. So I'm not going to sit here and go over every fight we've had. I'm not going to refight this fight. You have something you're holding on to about Travis. Go fuck. You know, go do it. Go run away together. I don't know what you're fucking holding on to, but you have created that. I have no part of that. I don't know what you're fucking latched onto in your brain, what stray hairs have fucking commingled and tangled in your brain to make you think you've really figured some sort of thing out. But this is not unusual for you. It's like almost every fight I could pretty much guarantee you find something that you can like manipulate.
Let's ask Travis tonight. If you
yes, why don't we invite Travis into our fucked up, broken ass, 3 fucking wheeled truck of a marriage? Why don't we crash it straight into the wall? Because no one knows us better than fucking Travis.
You're just afraid that the truth will come out.
What truth?
That you lied.
What are you fucking talking about? I didn't fucking even have a fucking thing to lie about. What are you fucking talking about? Every fucking fight, there's a new thing that you've convinced yourself is a lie.
I said to you, Amber, tell Travis what you just did. Did you just fucking, did you punch me in the fucking jaw? Did you fucking kick? Did you? And you wouldn't say a fucking reason. I don't know what you're talking about. Never fucking,
I see the
never
lie.
fucking happened.
I see the lie. You really should run with this. In fact, maybe you and Travis can like, go and like, you know, do a tell-all about what an investigative
study. Stop with the
study.
attitude, right? Stop with the attitude.
Sorry.
You're getting all bunched up.
Sorry. It's so fucking pointless, and you know it, to sit here and fight about fucking whatever you think happened with Travis. It wasn't a conversation.
Listen,
we were
I was
fighting.
not lie.
I'm not going to.
You lied. You're an asshole.
You were fucking full of shit. What
lied,
lie?
you asshole.
When? What conversation did I have with Travis? Big investigative study you've done. I'm not sitting here and fighting with you about the fight that we had last night.
After you fucking got physically violent with me, I texted Travis. I said, come up here, because I didn't want anything to happen.
I mean, yeah.
It's coming to what? Save me?
No, go ahead. Continue. You Travis to the rescue.
No, that was the last one. You can go, you go. That was the last insult.
Oh, yeah. You called me a liar, and yet.
I watched you lie.
You called me a liar?
I watched you lie. I heard it. I was right there.
There's no, what? You still haven't told me what lie it is.
But
yet, every single fucking time. You know you do this every single fucking time.
We'll talk to Travis.
I'm not fucking talking to nobody.
No,
fuck that. You go fucking jerk him off. I don't care. I really could care less. It's you every single time. You latch onto some sort of thing. When I already told you, I don't know what you're fucking talking about. You don't even know what you're talking about. You still haven't even told me what it is. But run with it.
I have told you what it is.
No, you haven't.
I said to Travis, I said to you, hey, tell Travis what just happened. You
told me to do it. You told me to. You said, go do that.
I said, no, tell him what just happened.
And I lied.
And that you punched me in the fucking thing. And you in the face. And you said, no, fuck it. No, I didn't. What the fuck are you talking about?
Here, she admits to hitting him finally after he holds her to it.
And I watched you lie. And then I
didn't punch you, by the way. I'm sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
Don't tell me what it feels like to be punched.
You've been a lot of guys, been around a long time. I know. Yeah,
no, when you fucking have a closed fist.
You get punched. You got hit. I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not fucking deck you. I fucking was hitting you.
You can't
I don't know
deck
what
me.
the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
How are your toes?
What am I supposed to do? Do this?
How are your
I'm not
toes?
sitting here bitching about it, am I? You are.
Oh,
That's the difference
you
between
poor
me and
toes.
you. You're a fucking baby.
Because you start
You
physical
are
fights?
such a baby.
Because
Grow
you-
the fuck up,
Because you start
Johnny.
physical fights?
I did start a physical fight.
Yeah, you did, so I had to get the
Because-
fuck out of there.
Yes, you did. So you did the right thing, the big thing. You know what? You are admirable. Every single time. What's your excuse when there's not a physical fight? Then what's the excuse there? You're still being admirable, right? Just by running away. And you can sit here and call me names, but you get called a name, and what do? That's the last insult. You're a baby. You're a hypocrite. You don't do anything that you actually do. You expect from people what you can't give them.
What are you doing with this?
I'm giving you a Xanax in case you need it.
Oh, thank you.
Seems like it's worn off.
Yeah, it probably has.
But I haven't even been able to have like a fight with you beyond in any real talking kind of speaking context in so long, because anytime anything goes wrong, you split. I feel like it's your first thing. And it's unnecessary. It's not always you're splitting because there's blows or because there's yelling or anything. You split with most times when I'm still speaking in this volume and nothing has been thrown or hit or anything. I know I can change certain things that are hurting you. But I know I can't blame myself entirely for going straight to the fucking finish line, the first sign of stress yesterday. Because of how it's been lately. Like since Australia. And I have been on the road with you. I haven't been working. I don't know what else I could fucking do.
Since Australia, we've been on our honeymoon and we had a great time other than the fact that we had a fight in the train, which was physical.
Yeah.
But then we had a fight in San Francisco. But I thought everything else was great. You're saying you've been pondering this since Australia.
No, the splitting.
Me splitting.
Like the lack of, I even said this in Australia. So I feel like it was so good for so long. We'd talk about things. Remember we were allowed to have fights then. Remember we allowed ourselves to say, hey, you did this or you took. Remember we would even have a little argument and it was okay. It was an argument. I don't know what the fuck has changed.
This isn't the only tape of Heard gaslighting, berating, and essentially telling Depp that if he doesn't stay in a fight, even when it gets physical, he's a baby. Here is more of that.
Maybe she is.
I'm sure she is.
We'll see.
I'm sure she is.
I'll let you know.
Oh, I'm sure she is. For her yoga vlog.
That fake laugh is too much to take.
No, I'm sure she's...
That fake laugh is so disgusting.
I'm sure she's great. I'm sure she's great.
I'm thinking that you've been giving me some of the best performances in
No, you're right. I don't. It's all about performance.
It's about performance. How am I? I don't regret.
Oh, what else? What else that you do? Oh, come on. Come on. Lay on me. What else? What else other things do you want to add? You fucking lying piece of shit. What? Oh, no, I want to know. I want to know.
Get out your Ubers out.
I'm kind of waiting. You go get it.
Yeah, I'll be in.
Wait, is there no other place for you to run in your 15 other houses to go run? Come on, go be a real married man and go deal with your shit the way that a man does. Go run to the next house. Every man does.
Yeah,
go. Run away. I know it's hard to look at yourself.
Fucking ridiculous plan.
It's hard.
Panic fucking plan.
It's hard. It's hard.
Screwing everybody else over to get
You're
your
right.
fucking...
I tried. That's what I do.
You're the most spoiled fucking brat. And you got everybody out here almost full, but it don't last long.
You're right.
I've been here a lot longer
You're
than
right.
you.
You got to figure it out.
You don't have... Figure out what you have to offer as opposed to going out and get your hits out.
You're right. That's what I do.
Well, yeah.
Okay. right.
As long as you'll do that.
You're right. You're
Excellent choice.
Back to that. Well, I wonder what we else. I wonder what else we can reach for in the last 60 minutes. Oh no, it was 4 years ago. You're right. I'm sure there's other things you can find.
Go laugh.
No, I'm not laughing.
Or, no, matter of fact,
I'm
laugh
not laughing. I'm not. It's serious. I'm sure you can find other things.
I know. And stripping. Well, there's always that. You can always
right.
go back.
You can write a book. You can write a book. I know you can write a book. Oh, is this going to be good for your book? Oh, should I have you sign an NDA for your book?
You don't need
your book.
No,
is this going to be good for your book?
You won't even
Is this going to be good for your book?
The Amber Heard that appeared on the stand was a character not found in evidence anywhere else. When she told her therapist she was 3 different people, that is exactly what we saw. We saw the domestic violence victim on the stand, but we heard a much different Amber on the tapes. We saw a much different Amber in the UK defamation case. Here she can be seen dismissing his complaints of violence. Just imagine if Depp had been the one saying this about her. Start at minute 8:14.
Runs the door over my toes, trying to get into the room. I tried to push him out of it, which is what the hit is referred to. And Johnny, whenever he was injured or touched it, always referred to it in these ways of punching or clocked or whatever. And whether you discussed it with him or not, the last thing you do in talking to him afterwards or trying to reconcile with him is to get into what the definition of those words mean to him.
Just say what
So
happened.
I never even addressed it. He would, if he was ever pushed, it was a cold. He called it a cold clock. I mean, it was just very dramatic.
Isn't it true, Miss?
Cross-examination by Camille Vasquez was the first time anyone had ever really held Heard accountable for her growing and exaggerated accusations against Depp. That was bad enough, though the case still seemed like it could go either way. It was when Heard took the stand a second time and opened herself up to yet another cross that the house of cards came tumbling down. Was that her idea? Did her lawyers advise against it? Vasquez pinned her down and illustrated to the millions watching the trial that Heard's many lies meant it was not possible to believe anything she said.
Your lies have been exposed to the world multiple times, right?
I haven't lied about anything I've been here to say.
You sat here and told this jury that the events in Hicksville started with Mr. Depp getting really upset about a woman leaning on you. Is that correct? But your own witness, your former best friend, Rocky Pennington, she didn't corroborate that, did she?
I'm not quite sure what part of that night she saw. There were a lot of people there.
And the manager of the Hicksville trailer park was furious that Johnny had wrecked the whole thing. Do you remember that testimony?
That's correct.
Well, we heard from that manager of the Hicksville trailer park, Morgan Knight, on Monday, didn't we?
I'm not quite sure who that guy was or if he had any involvement in this. I know a lot of people have come out of the woodwork to be involved.
So you're accusing Mr. Knight of testifying and committing perjury?
I'm not accusing anyone. I just don't recognize that man.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that it was actually you who was upset with Mr. Depp spending time away from him. Isn't that correct?
How would he know? He wasn't there.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that it was actually you who was yelling at Mr. Depp.
Again, I've heard a lot of people say a lot of things to be involved in the Johnny Depp show, but he wasn't there. He doesn't know. And he certainly doesn't know what happened behind closed doors, like most people.
So you're calling Mr. Knight a liar?
I am saying he wasn't there, and what he testified to doesn't match what I know happened.
Ms. Heard, you told this jury that you had no idea the press was going to be at the courthouse when you got your TRO on May 27th, 2016. Do you remember that testimony?
I said I did not have anything to do with it. Yes.
No. My question again. You told this jury that you had no idea that the press was going to be outside after you got the ex-parte TRO on May 27th, 2016. Do you remember that testimony?
I apologize. I must have misunderstood, Ms. Vasquez. I actually had no idea whether they were going to be there or not. When I walked into the courtroom that day, it was completely quiet, still, empty.
In fact, you testified that you were, quote, shocked when you saw press when you were leaving the courthouse. Yes?
Yes.
You weren't shocked at all, though, were you?
Incorrect. It was
You knew the
horrifying.
press would be at the courthouse, right, Ms. Heard?
No.
Well, you did bring your publicist to the courthouse with you on May 27th, 2016, didn't you?
I sure did. I'm a public figure. I brought my publicist in case it blew up. In case. And
you actually had
I did.
alerted TMZ that you would be filing a TRO against Mr. Depp that very day,
No, I did
didn't
not.
you?
No, I did
The
not.
one day you didn't bother to wear makeup to cover up the mark on your face.
I did not call TMZ or any other news source or paparazzi source. No one.
Well,
I never did that.
testimony from former TMZ employee Morgan Tremaine yesterday, correct?
Did I hear his testimony?
Yes.
Yes, I was here.
Yes. And you heard Mr. Tremaine's testimony that he knew to dispatch the paparazzi to the courthouse on May 27th, right?
I heard him say that he knew that, yes.
Yeah, and that he dispatched paparazzi to the courthouse to capture a picture of an alleged bruise on the right side of your face. Do you remember him saying that?
I remember him saying that.
That information must have come from your team, right, Ms. Heard?
Absolutely not. Why would I want that? What actual survivor of domestic violence wants that?
Now, the video of Mr. Depp beating up some kitchen cabinets, you admit that you took that video, correct?
Yes, I did.
Right. And you acknowledge that the video was released online the day before you were deposed in connection with your divorce from Mr. Depp in August of 2016, right?
I believe it was, yes.
But you testified that you had absolutely nothing to do with the video's release, right?
Absolutely not.
And you testified that you learned about it when you landed after flying into LA. Do you remember that testimony?
Upon touchdown is when I was alerted to the video's existence.
You heard Mr.
online.
Tremaine testify about this video as well yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you heard Mr. Tremaine testify that TMZ received the cabinet video the same day you landed at LAX, yes?
I don't know if I don't know if that's what his testimony was. I'm sorry.
You heard Mr. Tremaine testify that the cabinet video was posted 15 minutes after TMZ received it, yes?
That's what I heard him say.
And that this could only have been possible if the video was received directly from the source, yes?
I heard him say that. I don't know if that's true or if that's possible because it didn't come from me. I was flying.
Tremaine
So
testify.
I know that's incorrect, is what I mean to say.
Another liar on the stand. And he testified that the end of the video where you can be seen smirking. I know you testified earlier that you haven't been smirking in this trial, but you sure were caught on camera smirking in that video.
I disagree with that.
Was also not included in the TMZ video.
Everyone can watch that video and you can determine whether you think it's funny to me or not.
That's because the video came from you, right, Ms. Heard?
No, it did not.
You edited
that video
out
did
the
not
portions.
come to me. Come from me.
Ms. Heard, you edited out the portions that made you look bad before sending it to TMZ.
You're very wrong about that.
So that
if I
only
wanted to
Mr.
leak
Depp
information, I
looked
could have
bad.
done it in a more effective way, a lot sooner and a lot more.
Because you
I
knew
was
exactly
living
how to
with
do
a
that,
mountain
right?
of this evidence. If I wanted to leak it, I could have done a lot more with it.
I thought you testified earlier in this trial that you didn't know how to leak things.
I don't.
Worse for Heard, several last-minute witnesses came forward to contradict her testimony. A reporter from TMZ testified that the leak for the temporary restraining order came from Heard's camp, along with the video of Depp hitting cabinets. She vehemently denied this. A manager from the Hicksville trailer park testified that the trailer Depp had stayed in wasn't trashed, and in fact, it was Heard he'd seen yelling at Depp, not the other way around. Heard never expected him to show up. Vasquez got Heard to say on the stand that all of them were liars. All of them were trying to be part of the Johnny Depp show. Either they believed her, or they believed a multitude of witnesses that contradicted her. By the end of it, the Depp team was able to close with a powerful argument that either you believed all of it, or you couldn't believe any of it. If any witness is caught lying even once during a trial, it calls their entire testimony into question. Heard was caught lying multiple times about things she didn't really have to lie about, like the pledged donations to charity. In his closing arguments for Depp, Benjamin Chew can be seen choking up as he asks the jury to give Depp his life and his name back. Just this one clip has 3.5 million views.
It's about showing Mr. Depp's children, Lily Rose and Jack, that the truth is worth fighting for. It is. And it's about restoring Mr. Depp's name and standing in the community to the fullest extent that you can. And you can do something. And only you, ladies and gentlemen, can do that for him. You heard from Mr. Depp yesterday that he has been carrying these outlandish, outrageous stories on his back, pretty stoically, and living with them for 6 years, and waiting to be able to bring his truth out. And he has told you the truth, the unvarnished truth, even truth that pretty embarrassing. He knew that was going to happen when he brought this case. You've seen the evidence in this case over 6 long weeks, which we again thank you for. That evidence shows overwhelmingly that Ms. Heard's attempt to paint herself as a heroic survivor, an innocent survivor, and Mr. Depp as a terrifying abuser are utterly false. We ask you to please return your verdict for Mr. Depp. We ask you, we implore you to give him his name, his reputation, and his career back. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
22 million watched the closing arguments alone. Another 24 million watched and waited for the verdict. It's safe to say that it was a cultural phenomenon unlike any other in recent memory, especially since content put out by Hollywood has become so safe lately. Is it any wonder people watched? The trial had everything: a beautiful femme fatale, a once beloved icon fighting to clear his name, an array of colorful witnesses, big names casually dropped like Hunter S. Thompson and Keith Richards. Then there was the money, private islands, penthouses, private jets. And there was sex, their first kiss that ignited their love story. TikTok revealed what the media never understood. They had chosen Virginia in order to have the trial televised. The trial captivated the country for several weeks. It started small with a few 100,000 watching on YouTube. The first weekend after the trial began, Depp became a meme on TikTok, the Mega Pint. In fact, someone wrote a whole song about it.
I used to be respected, people took me at my word. Then I became a lawyer representing Amber Heard. Objection, hearsay. Oh my God, I don't have a case. Objection, hearsay. Now I'm ashamed to show my face.
Well, I'm a famous movie star, yeah, life is always fine. I sit down at my penthouse drinking mega pints of wine.
Objection, hearsay.
I don't know why we ever wed.
Objection, hearsay.
Who the hell poops in someone's bed?
I object to everything. I may have an infection. Cause I say I object, the judge says
that was your own question.
Objection, hearsay. Court isn't supposed to be this hard. Objection, hearsay. How did I ever pass the bar? Well, just one final question, sir, and this one has been prepped. What is your name?
My name is Johnny Depp.
Objection, hearsay. How can you...
The Depp case was on its way to consuming TikTok, with Depp as the obvious hero and Heard as the obvious villain. Heard became a meme too.
My dog stepped on a bee.
Objection, relevance.
My dad has to pee.
My mom's stuck in a tree.
I had to make spaghetti.
My husband broke his knee.
I just want to see. My shoe is sparkly. I'm made by DC. I can't find my key. It's a me, Luigi.
My child spilt my tea.
I sharted on Santa's knee.
TikTok was having too much fun at Amber's expense. For those who don't use the app, they can't understand how something like this could happen. How could so many people be so mean to Amber Heard? It must be sexism. It's rampant misogyny. The way it works on TikTok, though, is that you jump on a trend. If everyone is doing something funny, everyone else does it too. It isn't something that anyone can force, it just happens. The Depp Heard trial just happened on TikTok and became an unstoppable force. Even Depp's lawyer got her own song.
I know that this is the end.
country, and mostly women, became emotionally connected to this story because they felt protective of Depp. They listened to his testimony. They believed his story. They heard the abusive screeching and taunting by Heard on recording after recording. You'd think, given that, the media would vindicate Depp, with headlines ringing out, "Justice for Johnny Depp." You'd think the media would reflect what so many people who watched the trial felt in the wake of the verdict. If you thought that, you'd be wrong. The media wasn't going to give it to Depp. They weren't going to vindicate him. He'd been found guilty by the Me Too tribal leaders, and they would decide his fate. Not the courts, not the public, certainly not TikTok. This allows all of the devoted activists online to still shame and punish any executives who might think about hiring Depp. They will shame any critics who praise any movies Depp might make. It also means they will revive Heard's career, position her as the martyr for the cause. They will praise executives who hire her. There will be documentaries. There will be more and more agonizing op-eds that shame and scold the public for seeing the truth rather than their truth. Heard, not Depp, will get the career boost and the standing ovations. She will get the redemption that Johnny Depp deserves. In this ever-increasing divide between the media elite and the general public, Depp has won the hearts and minds of the invisible majority. If any producers take a chance on Depp, they will be richly rewarded by ticket buyers. Some journalists have covered this story honestly. Though they are independent or on the right, Megyn Kelly does not mince words.
Why don't we start right off your reaction to the verdicts today?
I think they reached the right result. I think that Amber Heard was caught in so many lies when it was all said and done, it was impossible to believe her. And as I said on my show this afternoon, before the verdict, you know the Latin phrase, which has appeared in many jury instructions, falsus in uno, falsus in omnibus, meaning if the jury thinks you lied in one thing, they can decide that you've lied in all things. And that was her biggest problem. It sounds to me like they didn't believe anything. They didn't believe her abuse claims. They didn't believe anything she said from the way I read this verdict form. But it could also just be that they caught her in so many lies that they just determined there wasn't enough proof to support her claims and that it was more likely than not she lied. And while the jury gave her one victory on one of her, she had 3 statements she claimed were defamatory toward her that she was suing over, awarding her $2 million, and he got 15 against her. Don't make any mistake about it. She lost. This was a complete rout by Johnny Depp. No one's even going to remember that she recovered on this one small statement, which doesn't really speak to the truth of her overall claims against him. It was sort of a throwaway statement that was made by Depp's lawyer about whether she messed up their penthouse to make it look more nefarious to police. That's all. They found that she was not telling the truth and that she's basically spent the last several years trying to ruin Johnny Depp. Total victory for him.
Does she get anything serious out of the fact that the chyron on the bottom of a lot of television screens, the one half line chyron, says that they both libeled each other? Does that any recompense at all?
Not a chance, because you can't get past his first 3 counts. I mean, what they said in his claim against her is that she maliciously made up abuse claims, domestic abuse and sexual abuse claims about him, published them in the Washington Post, and then went on to lie about them under oath on the witness stand. It's done. That's it. That's what happened today. They gave her a throwaway on some sort of invented fancy tale that his lawyer told about why their penthouse was a mess one night. That's it. That's all they gave her. In no way did they say, but he did abuse her, a little bit, or here, or like maybe it wasn't sexual violence, but it was domestic violence. No, they didn't say it. They said she is a liar. She made up these abuse claims, and she's been torturing him for years, maliciously. It's not a split verdict, and any journalist or press organization that spins it that way is lying.
And on Cheryl Atkinson's podcast, she says,
and now I think it's worth taking
one step further back in this analysis because I think the Depp case is not only a turning point in a narrative that was weaponized and taken too far, it's also a backlash against a steady diet of narratives, one-sided news reporting, propaganda being forced down our throats on a minute-by-minute basis. A majority of the American public should not dictate over the minority. That's what America's all about, not doing that. But neither should a fringe minority dictate over the majority. And we've been under the tyranny of a vocal minority that too often proves guilty of the very behavior they claim to abhor: bullying, disinformation. Well, the Depp jury weighed the evidence and rejected what we were all told we had to believe. So the Depp victory is not only a landmark case in the legal realm of defamation. More importantly, it can be seen as a turning point in well-funded and controlled efforts to manipulate public opinion and silence those who are off the narrative. In that way, we should all be interested in the Johnny Depp verdict.
What happened to Amber Heard? How could such a bright, beautiful young woman with so much promise have gone so totally wrong that she found herself lying on the witness stand the way she did? I personally think that she saw herself as the smartest person in the room who could manipulate anyone and talk her way out of anything. That makes her a femme fatale of the noir kind. She got herself in too deep and convinced herself that she was the saintly abused victim of not just Johnny Depp, but all men. Although seeing how the media has covered the verdict, how Hollywood will likely continue to hold Depp accountable for things he never did, maybe Heard really was the smartest one in the room. Maybe she realized all she had to do was stick to her story, and those who want to stay in control of the media narrative will side with her regardless. The Me Too movement is not over because the jury proved Depp's defamation claims against Heard. If it was always a narrative driven by the media, and the media's credibility is now called into question, then it was indeed a house of cards. The New York Times, The New Yorker, Slate, Rolling Stone, and The Washington Post need better writers, because in the wake of the Depp verdict, they have never looked more out of touch. Thank you for listening to my Substack podcast. SashaStone.substack.com.
In Fairfax, Virginia, and she had to fight a serpentine inside.
Disney, please tell me that I can't read, because that's got to be what the fuck it is. Because I know the words that were printed on the page that I just seen with my two eyes did not say you motherfuckers was going to keep Jack Sparrow and not Johnny Depp. Do you motherfuckers know that we watched Pirates of the Caribbean for Johnny Depp? Beyonce left Destiny's Child. Y'all see how that shit worked out? Y'all must be snorting dope, dick, and dog food if y'all thought that was a good fucking idea. Who the fuck y'all think gonna watch it? Y'all want that motherfucking movie to go anywhere? You better go get Johnny back. You better go get Johnny back, goddammit. I feel a way. I feel a fucking way. How y'all gonna fuck up the Pirates of the Caribbean whole series by trying to replace Johnny? Y'all motherfuckers.
I stand with you.
I stand with you.
I stand with you.
I stand with you. We stand with you.
I stand with you.
There once was a man named Johnny Depp who took the stand. We won't forget the roles he's played in the Pirates Blade that made our childhood. Soon may the justice come, so whoever goes back to where she came from. One day when the trial is done, he'll take his money and go.
I stand with you.
I stand with you.
Justice for Johnny Depp.
I stand with you. I stand with you. I stand with you. I stand with you. I stand by you. I stand with you.
We stand with you.
I stand with you.
I stand with you.
I stand with you. I flip-flop, bend, break with you.
I stand with you. I stand with you. I stand with you.
I stand with you.
I stand with you.
I stand with you.
We stand. We do. I stand with you. I stand with you. I stand with you.
I stand with you.